of the RUOW, or the Russian Overwatch Cup. This is the Pro Division, and today we have Not a Phase going up against the Exius Esports here, and these teams a little bit new to the scene, perhaps a little bit fresh. The new kids on the block, Exius Esports got a little bit of history on one of their players, Wally, but other than that, not a whole lot of information that we do know about them. So they've been, kind of staying out of the limelight for the time being. But I'm excited to see what exactly they're going to bring to the table. And then, of course, after this, we have the other match. It's going to be Ronin Horde going up against the Lolly Esports. And if you were here yesterday, or not yesterday, excuse me, on Monday, for the first few matches, that Ronin Horde won their match and Lolly Esports won their match as well. So these are the two so far leaders in the group stages. There's only been a few matches so far, but no, nevertheless, they are the leaders currently, and they are going to be fighting for the most points that they possibly can to move on in the group stages. And today, I am Rien, the play-by-play caster, and with me is Pulse. And Pulse, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Tuning in here from sunny America.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. Like you said, like you mentioned already, two teams we don't have a lot of information on, so it's gonna be kind of a mystery match. But all of these guys, trust me, they have some high levels on them. There's some
Oh
high
yeah.
SR on them, so it's gonna be a good match no matter what, experience or not. I mean, these guys are just gonna be uh, really, really good, and I'm super hyped for that. Super excited, and we're doing this, 3 times a week. So remember, guys, the schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all the way until September 1st. Correct? I think that's correct.
Yep. So
Yep.
it's
So you're gonna
long
get
tourney.
yeah. So yeah, you're gonna get very used to our voices here early in the morning. If you're tuning in here in America, if you're on the Pacific time zone, time is it's 11:03. So it's still a little bit before lunchtime. We still consider it morning. A lot of so a lot of people tuning in here, getting some morning Overwatch. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of something fun to start your day with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, if you are on the West Coast, it's already past noon there. Here on the West Coast, we haven't even eaten lunch yet. Got 'em. How about that?
You're Adam.
Anyways, the first match here between Phase and Exis Esports is gonna be Eichenwald, right? That is the hybrid map where you have to cap the control point, and then push the payload, and then from there, you need to just push it through the different phases of the Eichenwald, and then Eichenwald, it's an interesting map. I gotta say, the first choke really decides a lot of things. The map itself basically is, can you hold the first choke and make sure that the enemy team can't push through it. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can hold it up close and personal with the Ryan and Zarya, or you can back up a little bit with your Orisa Roadhog. Just a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that defense really does. There's so many versatile things we could do. Often, the thing we see is that we either have a shield tank. Most of the time, it's an Orisa. Like most of the time, it's either a Reinhardt or Orisa, kind of holding that front line up there on the front lines. And let me give you guys a little quick reminder. We are still technically in round one, I believe. This first match of the day is in round one, but the second match of the day, we're going to switch over to round two. Now, there really isn't that much of a difference there. It's just that, Ronin Horde and Lowly get to play again. But once we go from round two to round three, that's when things switch up. So
Yep.
just a heads up, round one and round two, the maps are hybrid, control, assault. So our hybrid maps, it's still getting switched around. We're still trying to decide some things, and I believe we're switching over to we're going to switch over to King's
Yep.
Row. So
It's
a
not
very
Eichenwald.
fan popular map.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. Anyways, all that information we talked about, King or Eichenwald, that'll come in handy later. So yeah, stick around for that. But King's Row, yes, fan favorite map for sure. We saw this earlier in Pulse. What do you expect teams to run on King's Row?
There's, obviously on defense, a very often run strategy is the double sniper comp.
Mm-hmm.
On attack, that's where things can get a little more versatile than the defense. Sometimes we'll see some variations in the defense, but attacking is where I think teams can get a little bit creative. I've seen everything from just the double sniper going head to head to people trying to run the goats comp on here. So very interesting. It's there's a lot of versatility in these teams.
Yeah, definitely. And interestingly enough, what's come into the meta a little bit more recently is this Orisa Diva defense, and the Orisa Diva defense, it works because it's all about proper positioning, that's really what it depends on, is you need to have your team properly positioned in places where they can find the proper value from each of your heroes, right? You have your Widowmaker in the top, you have your Zen up there with her, and then you just set up a crossfire on the choke, with the Junkrat and the Orisa spam damage as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that kind of really that new play, I really I like it a lot, just because I feel like sometimes your defense can get a little bit split up, like you pointed out. Look, they're gonna run the Junkrat on defense here, and I like that pick just because it's there's a lot of spam damage raining down, but sometimes Orisa will kind of hold this overhang right above the point, kind of looking straight down on it, and then Widowmakers will hold this little windowsill that looks down on it on the right side of it. So Diva, being as mobile, the mobile tank that she is, could jump between those two positions and kind of defend where she needs to defend. So yeah, I do like the Diva pick.
Yeah, the Diva wants to watch out for the flankers and make sure she gets rid of them, and also to contest the point later on. But the offense, I like this attack. I like this approach that they've got to dealing with this. It's the triple tank here with the Orisa, the Diva, and then the Roadhog. And they're going to push through the hotel, actually, and try to get on the point as fast as possible. And you see the Diva's going to drop down right away, but that first pick, Pyronal takes down Supreme, but they are able to res Supreme back into the fight. Hanafuda is now demeched and finished off by Pyronal, and now that Supreme is back up and ready in the fight, he does take out his opposing sniper, but regardless, undeterred, the Exis Esports are still looking to cap this point here. Box of Rage has to contest, and the Mercy can't do that for very long, and this is looking like a very solid first take here from Exius.
Oh, very dominant, kind of making a statement right out the gate. It took them a little bit. They took the long route going through the hotel and kind of wrapping around. But then, I'm so impressed with Pyro on that sniper, kind of dealing with a lot of key picks instantly, taking out Supreme while Supreme's back in the game. Getting some picks of his own, trying to prove that he's not the only good sniper on the field right now. But still, very impressive play, but Pyro's still going insane right now.
Yeah, Lox is down right away, and this gives them all the room they need. Look at Pyronal's on the flank now, looking for the kills in the backline. Has the infra sight, so he knows where they are, and Supreme is down again. He's looking for the shots, finds Hanafuda with the help of Jakaluka, and now they're going to continue to push this point. Only had to invest the Valkyrie. Very, very well played coming up from Exius so far. They're looking very, very good.
Oh, yeah, look at how they're just kind of steamrolling the point, and I love the pressure they're putting on here. Yesterday me and Rian had to do some broadcast GG scrim nights, and through that, I mean, we've seen a lot of teams not push up the pressure all the way up here, but I love the pressure being put on here, especially with Pyro taking those spicy angles.
Yeah, and then you pop the Dragon Strike as well to get everyone down, and Pyronal wins the close range Widowmaker duel. My goodness, he's a man on fire right now as he kills Ross as well. This is insane performance from Pyronal right now as they just push it all the way. They're in the final phase of King's Row already, and it's all on Pyronal right now. This is some incredible Widowmaker play we're seeing from him.
Taking absolute control of the map, putting a statement on it, really taking the angles he needs to take, and then instantly finding the shot. Sometimes Widowmakers will try to take an angle, and then they miss their couple shots and they give away their position, but Pyro doesn't seem to be missing the shots at all. And look, they're just going to take an angle, but Supreme coming back at it, trying to match Pyro's insane performance right now. The Diva Bomb goes in the back, but can't find anyone.
Yeah, and they're going to use the Transcendence as well to keep everyone all healed up. They switched over to the dive on the offense now, no longer the Orisa Hog, and they're looking to get the value from that by diving onto the squishy backline, but doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get it, and as a result, you see, Winston can only bubble every now and then. So, as a result, once the bubble is down, they know they can hit that huge shatter. Alex kinda stepping up to the plate there, swinging them all, laying them flat on their backs, and that is going to be not a phase winning this, and let's hope that this win is not a phase for them, so they can continue to win these next few fights, because other than that, I mean, Exius has put up a pretty solid time so far.
Right, you want to see them kind of establish their dominance on this defense. You know, they kind of been getting shut down a lot by that sniper. Here comes the Dragon, decide to split the team up practically in half as the Reinhardt's all alone. There's really nothing the rest of the team could do as that Dragon splits them.
There we go. Ross finally coming back at it. 2 picks right away, and Supreme steps up, finally winning one of those Widowmaker duels. This was very well played. You know, they used the dragons, and then they dove in, and they couldn't find the value from that on the side of Exia. So very nice that Not a Phase was able to counteract that. Not exactly, you know, the best of situations, but regardless, they were able to, you know, turn it back in their favor. And now Ross and 12 here are in a bit of a long-range Hanzo duel. 12 needs to be careful, though, because he doesn't have a Reinhardt, whereas Ross is fighting with his. And now you see Ross has the grab, and Hanafuda has that ever-present grab Dragons combo, and here it is. They're going to use it, and I expect it's full team wipe here.
Yeah, definitely. They had a lot of ults in their back pockets. Supreme also popped the Infrasight. I don't know if that was, you know, the most useful situation there, especially since you're just going to team wipe them. But still, you still both have your support ults, and Alex is coming up on that shatter again. We saw him land it. Yeah, look at this. He's going to try to get it right now. But ooh,
nice
canceled
response
out of that charge.
Yeah, nice response from 12 there. They had the bubble onto Hanafuda, but regardless, he's going to be finished off, and a bomb in the back when the Ryan is down is going to wipe everyone out. Jakaluka here coming up big once more. Exius is still going to be able to keep pushing this forward after a few lost fights. Well done by them, and now you see Supreme is switching on over to the Junkrat. Wants to get the spam damage on the front line.
Yeah, switched over to that Brigitte, and that was kind of the one that ended the charge of Alex Cunha. So that'll be a key player that, you know, Alex wasn't really seeing to see on the battlefield as the Zenyatta's going to pop the ultimate and try to get his team on there.
Yeah, Lox wants to use it. There's a huge shatter. Duplicafly dropped his shield, and Alex Cunha knew it was his time to shine. 12 now on the front lines, but he knows he's going to be batted down. You can't survive for long as the Brigitte, no matter what Reddit says. You can't 1v6. Ross, though, look at him. He's on this Pharah now, which is a pick that I do like. He's taking advantage of the fact that Exius doesn't have any hit scan.
Yeah, the switch off of Pyro was on the Widowmaker earlier, and now since he switched over to that Zarya, you know, there's really nothing that could contest this. No, but the grab catches Ross in there, so yep, there he goes. He's gonna follow along with the rest of the team.
Yeah, but Supreme is trying to get the picks now. He demeched Jakaluka and was then finished off by Hanafuda. And at the beginning of the fight, 12 actually went over the edge by Ross there, so that might have actually been what they needed to win this. You got the tower coming out from the side by Supreme. It's looking for the tanks. It's waiting for the moment. It's like a shark finding the prey. Waits in hiding and then catches Duplicafly when he turns around to try and deal with it. And Ross is back in action, controlling the skies right now. And with that tire to take out the Ryan, they're going to win this. And again, I think it was that early Brigitte pick that Ross got.
Yeah, definitely taking out that, you know, that big swinging support tank character. That's a huge get out of the battlefield, but 12 does have the rally, instantly gonna pop it. Everyone has that extra armor, so it's just gonna be a lot more damage that Not a Phase needs to rain down on them. It's time to start with Ross.
Oh, Duplicafly's trapped, but the bomb up top from Jakaluka catches Lox when he wasn't looking, but here's a flank Graviton from Hanafuda. They're all in there. Can they follow up with a barrage? Ross is trying, catches Duplicafly, but there's a sound barrier to negate most of the damage. Hanafuda now in the middle of the fight. He's going to be sandwiched, converged upon by the rest of the team, and Ross is the only one left to contest here. He's got a touchdown on the ground if he wants to do that. Lox is back up with the Transcendence, trying to even things out and keep the team alive. Shatter comes out, but it's not going to find a whole lot as Ross is still raining down fire from above here, but now he's Graviton Surge. He's right where they want him, but regardless of that, Supreme and Alex Cunha are going to step up. They have the tire, they have the Earth Shatter, and like that, they're going to be able to win the fight. Not a Phase, taking this one back from the brink of disaster.
Yeah, that's what you want to do when it's coming down to the wire, is use all the resources that you have, and every single ult that they had was used. They used the Transcendence and they used the Junkrat Tire to kind of clear them off the point, and look, they have to rush to re-engage, and you know, rushing to re-engage isn't really what you want to do, and that Maywall's going to buy them, you know, a couple seconds, kind of blocking them off there, but the fight is going to be on this point. 2 Mercy ultimates popped.
Yeah, Pyro's back on this Widowmaker, and Hanafuda goes over the edge, down into the underground with ya. But regardless, Duplicafly is gone. Pyroinal is sent back to the spawn, and Jakaluka is as well, but now Ross gets killed by the Diva Bomb. Really didn't have a whole lot of places to hide. You see Box of Rage coming back out, trying to contest the point. You've got the Mei as well. Mei's a really solid contester. Almost got the pick onto Basso there. Hanafuda barely avoiding that shatter by jumping in to the ice block on the Mei, but it's quickly shut down as Duplicafly is going to be able to win this fight by The 75 damage Ryan swings, you see him giving an emote there to the crowd. He's playing to him, and the round 1 is going to the Exvius Esports, but in overtime.
Yeah, it definitely took Not a Phase a little while to kind of find their footing in the battlefield, but still, all the major props to them. By the time Exvius got to the third, or started to make their way to the third point, they had 5 minutes. They had 5 minutes to make it there. We are going to get a quick pause, real quick, but pointing out that they had 5 minutes to kind of push it all the way, and it's props to Not a Phase for actually finding time to kind of regroup and get their heads in the game. They were getting shut down by Pyro on that Widowmaker at first. It was just kind of back to back really fights where it started with Pyro finding those key picks, so the team was essentially wiped by the time they could even react. But then they cleared their mind. They had spawn advantage, so they were a little bit more calm, and they were pushing it all the way to overtime. So honestly, great improvement in that match.
Absolutely, it was really good, from them. And now right now we're in the pause phase. You got a DC coming out, so we're gonna just go back to the wonderful clocks. Could see what time it is, but so far this has been a really great match between the two teams. It looked like Exvius Esports really had the advantage at the beginning with their early caps and then slowly steamrolling, but once they got to the underground, Not a Phase looked a whole lot better. They started winning the fights, they started shifting the momentum, getting their own ultimates up and then using the combos to their advantage, and as a result, they started to win some of these fights and hold them out until overtime, which is going to be huge, especially if they can, set a really, really solid pace here on the offense.
Yeah, exactly. Pushing them to that overtime really was the key here. But see, the thing is, though, I have a hard question. We're gonna be your regular casters from here on out, essentially, and I like to introduce you guys to someone. His name is Dr. Rien. Now, Dr. Rien, he has 4 PhDs, huge, big brain.
Oh, yeah.
But this might be a little tricky because there wasn't a lot of signs of what we call DC syndrome.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of early phase signs. So this attack kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. DC syndrome, that's the thing with it. It'll strike you when you least expect it. So you got to be careful. You got to take preventative measures. Ethernet's really good for you. That seems to be, kind of the end-all be-all cure for DC syndrome. And it definitely helps a lot with the lag disorder as well. That's another common disorder or a disease that is affecting the Overwatch community. And lag disorder, man, it is no joke. Let me tell you, it's bad. The symptoms include teleporting around the map, shots not registering, and a whole lot of other just nasty symptoms. But here we go. Ross is back. Seems he's recovered from the DC syndrome here. Could be just a recurring thing that comes up, or it might just be a one-time thing. DC syndrome is very fickle. It's very interesting, how each case is different. Sometimes players will DC multiple times, be affected by it, or sometimes it only happened once, and let's hope it only happens once, because Ross, he's kind of their DPS here. He needs to he needs to be in the game kind of constantly. But here on the offense again with the Orisa D.Va defense, I love this strategy. It's so good depending on how you play. It didn't really work out too much on the defensive side, but I'm interested to see how Exvius wants to try and run this here.
Yeah, I think often a lot of the teams on the attack will kind of be a little hesitant just because Orisa's holding the ground right above the point, along with Junkrat kind of raining down that damage, and anybody who kind of gets picked outside of a shield, that's where that Widowmaker comes in, and Pyro's already proven himself to be a sick Widowmaker, so you're going to definitely get found out there. But I just feel like they kind of rushed onto that point last time, and they kind of took dominance over it, especially with Pyro finding Supreme the first pick. Nobody had to be scared of getting caught outside the shields. But on the attack here, they are going to run a pharmacy along with Hanzo, so that Pharah is going to try to make the difference. You just have to watch out for Pyro.
Oh, this is really interesting because they've only got one tank of Hanafuda here. They're looking to out DPS this, but it's very hard when Pyro's right there to shut you down. They can res Alex, but he's got to be really careful of that Widowmaker. And Hanafuda is actually very far forward right now. The Divas are engaged in a bit of a dogfight in the backline, whereas they're just applying the frontline pressure with the Junkrat. Orisa shields back up, and there's not a whole lot you can do, and Hanafuda's finished off. A little bit out of position there. Offense is looking a little bit scattered here as Ross tries to contest the high ground, but he can't do much. There is just the Hanzo, and especially when Pyro is just winning these fights. Ross finally gets the counter pick and shuts him down, but is it going to be enough? They have the spawn advantage, so they could possibly begin to push in. They have the res as well. Supreme is back up into the fight, but Pyronal is brought back in it himself. So just ignore the kill feed until all the reses are said and done here. So now anything that's in the kill feed will actually matter because there's no res on both sides. They're rotating up to the high ground. Jokeluka wants to pressure Hanafuda on the D.Va here, but Supreme finally is winning this Widowmaker duel. Pyronal's down now, and now you see that Ross wants to pressure Jokeluka and get him off the point because that will force the rest of the offense off the high ground. And with this Dragon Strike that he has available to them, it's looking pretty good for them so far. Not a phase taking this point with those kills. They pressure D.Va, get her off the front lines, and then once you got that, Ross, wow, I didn't know you could get up here. This is actually really interesting from him. Nice lunge, you know, just knowledge and knowing that you can get up there. That was actually pretty interesting. But regardless of that, Pulse, why is it that Not a Phase took this point?
I mean, at first, you know, they're definitely out DPSing the enemy team, as I say that Pyro was going to get a pick on Alex, but still, I kind of feel like towards the end there, it felt like Exodus was kind of trickling down. First it was the D.Va to hop down, and then right after that it was the Orisa, and then finally it was the Zenyatta, but they only hopped down after, you know, the other one already died, so I was a little confused. I don't know why they didn't hop down, you know, as a team. That's where my confusion was coming from, but the D.Va wanted to come in the back. There is no shield, so it could find someone, but nope, they're going to use the natural walls of London to protect themselves.
Yeah, the London streets are very, very cluttered, and they allow you to hide behind giant nuclear, or hide away from giant nuclear bombs, you know, as usual here in Overwatch. You know, it's what we've come to expect. And now you see Hanafuda drops the mech, wants to get a fresh one here at 600 HP, doesn't want to take the time to farm, and again, with the pressure on the front lines. And Pulse mentioned this earlier, but you want to hold up front here and leave only a few players on the payload, so that way you can gain as much ground as possible and shut them down before they can contest the point.
Oh yeah, look, the visor's going to be popped, or the infrared set's going to be popped rather, so they know where everybody is. Alex is going to try to find a barrage, but the key should be demeching the D.Va, but as I say that, there goes Alox.
Oh, Alex!
Down there.
Alex shuts down 3 in the back. That was huge. Absolutely, to try and win this point out. And you see Hanafuda's kind of waiting on the left side. He was there, tried to support Alex kind of for the most part, but unfortunately couldn't get it for the most part here. In this composition, I just want to say this. This is so interesting. This single tank.
It's something we don't really see too often, but if there's something we've learned from contenders, it's the European people, it's the EU leagues that are definitely going to be the ones to bring out the more creative strategies. You know, like this is an example of one of them. This is something we don't see too often. Their ults are kind of working in tandem, and I think that's the key. If you're going to run this comp, you got to definitely work as a team as much as you can, coordinate all you can, and I feel like in this next fight, you're going to want to build up your ultimates before you engage, and I just kind of like how the way they're doing it with their DPS. They're kind of splitting up the team. They're not really letting them kind of group up as a unit. Now Alex finally switches over to the Reinhardt, so it's looking a little more natural.
Yeah, you know what I did love about that composition is they were playing it very slow. You know, they were waiting until they got a pick with all their DPS, and I mean, you're gonna get a pick eventually. But
right.
Yeah, and then they immediately had the aggression moving in. And speaking of, they waited until Duplicafly was pretty low before pushing in, especially with this new Reinhardt, you know, up and running in the meta. But now Supreme kills Pyronal, but 12 is going to trade, and they're able to res him up. Box of Rage does not look like he's going to be able to go for the res here, so they have to back out now, and Exeus is going to be winning this defensive fight. And what seemed like it was going towards the Not a Phase at the beginning, you know, especially with those initial picks, eventually shifts back in favor because they were able to find the picks at the crucial times.
Yeah, but I definitely wouldn't be sleeping on Not a Phase. They have a lot of ultimates they're getting close to. They almost have Valkyrie. They almost have D.Va Bomb. And at the moment, they have the double sniper ultimates with the Dragons. The Dragons, like, you know, well, the sight you can kind of throw in whatever just to learn where your enemies are. But then once you have those Dragons, you're going to have to try to find a good angle since you don't have a Zarya to combine it with. But 12 is going to start it out here. Already got the pick on the Supreme and now splitting up the team with the Dragon.
Yep, wants to be able to use that, but Duplicafly's pretty far forward here, really far forward actually, as a matter of fact, and does get punished as a result. Alex was found, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough because they can, you know, get the spawn advantage back in their favor. So this actually could be the time for Not a Phase to push in here. Ross did get found though, so that stagger pick is going to allow the defense some time to reset, especially since Winston can jump out. But I think they're going for the dry pushes right now to build the ultimates on the side of Not a Phase.
Yeah, definitely. And that strategy has been working for them. They're really close to a lot of ultimates. They have 4 at the moment, coming up on 6, actually. They're going to toss in the Dragon there to kind of split up the team.
Mhm.
Oh, there is a Diva Bomb in the back, though, so you have to be careful. Alex is going to put up the shield, protect his team, but Ross is super low, has to get back to this, has to get to his supports.
Yeah, Alex has got the barrage here, but or not the barrage, the Earth Shatter rather, and he is going to be shut down before he gets a chance. Jokaluka and Wally just giving him a few orbs to the face and pushing him back. And even though they used the dragons at the start to split up the team, it just wasn't enough to find the value. I might have saved it for the Earth Shatter that I know Alex was looking for. And these are just cleanup kills coming out now from the defense here, as they want to be able to push again. But Wally, very nice. The orbs of destruction find their way to Ross's head, but Box of Rage is there to bring him back to life for a second chance here, and Axius has got to be ready for this next push.
I'm a little confused about what Not-A-Phase's plan was there in that last fight, because they invested both of their supportals that they've been building up, and there goes the Dragons. Pyro's going to find the pick, and that's going to open it up for everyone else to kind of fall to. It's going to be a full-on restart, but they used both support ultimates in that last fight, so I was a little confused. I thought they were building up their ultimates. And then Box of Rage already used the ultimate, and so did Lox. So I'm a little confused. The Diva is going to fall, so that's going to be a little bit of a stagger. Everyone's going to wait, but get back in that mech.
Yeah, absolutely. But you see, Not-A-Phase, they're really pressured now for time. They only got a minute left. That's only a few more fights. They need to really be quick on the trigger here and getting themselves back together. They switch over to the dive. Definitely, I think, was going to help them. The Reinhardt just wasn't working out, If you're ramming your head into the wall in the few fights, don't keep ramming it in. You got to switch off. But you see, Pyrono's looking for the long-range kill. On to Supreme here, but he's going to be able to find the healing for the most part. And the cart's inching its way around the corner. But here you got Duplicafly. He's like a drop bear. He's waiting in the trees just for the optimal moment to dive. Finds the Widow, gonna pressure her back, but then wants to get the juicy target of the Zen. He's got the Primal Rage, but he's not gonna be able to use it. Gets shut down by Supreme there, and here's the Dragons now coming out on the side of the offense here. Wants to split up the team as usual. Doesn't really want to find the picks, but regardless, Counter Dragons is gonna find all the value that they need, and Wally and 12 and the rest of the team, Pyronal especially on this Widowmaker, have just been stellar so far at finding the picks at the optimal time. 5 seconds left, and it doesn't look like Not-A-Phase is going to be able to touch this one. Hanafuta's there, just in the nick of time, and now he's trying to contest the point. Has got the Diva Bomb. He's going to drop it. Alex Kun is looking to get back on the point. Hanafuda is now able to get back into the mech. You've got the Transcend as well from Lox, just to keep the team alive. Hanafuda wants to find these picks, but it's so hard when there's just much damage. Jokaluka finds Alex Kun with the help of Pyrono there, who got the finishing blow, and it's just Hanafuda once more on the point, who is D-mech once more. They don't really care about Hanafuda, actually. They only send Jokaluka to deal with him. They want to pressure the front line with the spawns, and that is going to be the Axius Esports taking this King's Row map.
Oh, wow. What a dominating performance from them. They showed their dominance as soon as, the map started, and on that attack, it was pretty dominant. But here on this defense, shutting down the teams all, often, all the time, really. It didn't seem like they're getting to that bomb. For this play of the game is going to go in the back, get 2 people, and that's going to be a team wipe, a team fight that they eventually won to take all the way. Great playing from Axius Esports, and I'm just getting a little bit of a conflicting message from wait, what am I saying? Oh, right. I'm sorry. I'm getting a lot of conflicting messages from Not-A-Phase, it seems like, just because it doesn't seem like it seemed like they were building up all these ultimates for one big fight, and then they would use an ultimate in a fight where it seemed like they were kind of actually waiting to build up ultimates. So I was a little bit confused there. And then by the time they reached 0, they had the Diva Bomb, and they still had the Transcendence from that whole phase of building up ultimates. And then the switches came in. A lot of people lost their ultimates or just kind of used it whenever. So it just needs to be a little bit more of a team coordination. But it seems like when they are coordinated, they are able to take the fight to Axius. So this definitely isn't one-sided.
Yeah, completely. I think regardless of the outcome of that match, they still held them until overtime, and they still almost pushed it all the way. So it was looking pretty even there. Axius Esports is just a little bit ahead in terms of the match itself. But regardless, Exy's Esports there was just really good on the defense at out DPSing the offense. Even with the triple DPS comp at the start, that really helped them, get onto the point and do all the damage that they needed. But once Pyronal, he was sleeping for a little bit, but then once he woke back up, once he came out of hibernation, he was finding picks left and right. They were dropping like flies, and it was pretty crazy to see as well. And I don't want you to sleep on 12 as well, their other DPS. He was doing a stellar job. But more importantly, I want to highlight the tank play here. Jokeluka, you saw him get the play of the game there, and both the divas on both sides, actually, Hanafuda and Jokeluka respectively, were just doing so well in that fight, which is such a good thing to see. Divas often, kind of go unnoticed in terms of highlighting their own plays. But Diva, an oppressive Diva, a good Diva, is so hard to deal with. She's got Matrix up whenever. You can't damage anybody. She's in your face, micro missiles flying left and right. You can't do anything, and you feel basically helpless, under a good Diva. And I think both sides were doing such a good job of just trying to establish themselves and gain Diva control. And Jokeluka, I think, was just a little bit better because they are, the winners of this match, and got the play of the game. So
Yeah, great showing. I mean, really, there's not really much more up for debate. Exy's just kind of stomped it out there, and like you said, those compositional picks were kind of working out just a little bit better in their favor. And I feel like because those fights were so close, maybe the experience of Wally was kind of a leg up where they had. You said that Exy's seems like they're a little bit more prepared, a little bit ahead of the game as not a phase, just by like a little bit, because these teams are still very close. All these guys are absolutely insane players, but I feel like Wally just kind of having that tournament experience is able to kind of communicate with the rest of the team and say, like, guys, like, I've been here before. I can kind of tell you, what's up, how to react to some things, especially under that tournament setting. So,
yeah.
Wally being on their team might have just been the key to winning that match.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing to highlight because Wally here, I mean, he's got a lot of second place finishes in some of his previous tournaments. The Go 4 ESL and then the Heroes of Nanas as well. He's got a lot of second place finishes on some of his old teams, and I think that experience, just that knowledge that he brings to the table for Exy's Esports here is really coming in handy, because a lot of the time teams are fresh teams especially, they don't have that experienced voice that's there to tell them how to relieve the pressure, that they may be feeling, the tournament nerves, stuff like that. He's like, listen, all right, just calm down. We got this. And also, experience himself as a player. He's playing Zenyatta, which I saw. And Zenyatta is usually the ult tracker of the team, because during the mid fight, he's the one, he has to focus in positioning and all that stuff. But in the downtime between fights, he doesn't really have a solid role. So putting Zenyatta on that ult tracking role is really, 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 really key. Yeah, one more time. Because then that just lets you get a lot of information. And that's the key to winning Overwatch, getting and knowing more information. Because as we all know, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Overwatch, the game of 9,000 IQ. But as we move on here, we're going to move on to the control map. Remember, I mentioned earlier, hybrid control assault, hybrid control assault. Just say it in your mind a bunch of times. Hybrid control assault. That's really what we're going to be running today.
That one's 10 times fast.
Yeah. Now for this control map, King of the Hill, we're going to be moving on to Oasis. Now, Oasis is very versatile. It seems like every single map of the three maps that are available on Oasis, it seems like you could practically run a different comp on all of them.
Yeah. Completely, and I think for this first map here, teams often choose to run different comps on this, but the Pharmacy is pretty popular in terms of that, so it'll be interesting to see what these teams are going to bring out here on this initial attack.
A character I'd like to see, a hero I'd like to see played a little bit more on this map is McCree, just because it isn't as open as the other Oasis maps, so McCree can kind of take down the Pharahs that are in the sky, but also kind of providing that hit scan damage you want on the front lines. Often I like the Hanzo picks. Often we'll see a Pharah Hanzo duo, which it looks like actually both teams are going to be running, so yeah, good for them. I feel like Box of Rage is going to switch over to Mercy. Yep, there it goes. Just boosting the team out of the point, trying to get them ahead of the game. But yeah, Pharmacy comps and Hanzo coming out for both teams.
Yeah, And watch 12 here on the Pharah. He's creeping around the side here, looking to get the backline pressure here onto Lox and Supreme there, but he needs to drop down. He knows he can't stay up there for long. It's very dangerous, especially with a damage boosted Hanzo. But the first picks go towards the Axios Esports here. They're drawing the first blood with Jakaluka, finding Alex, and then 12 finding 12. Or no, 12 finding Supreme, not to be deterred there. Not 12 finding 12, unless he shot himself with the rockets there. And now Wally pressures the spawn. Hanafuda is down, and they're going to take this first point. Very solid.
Yeah, and I feel like that all had to do with 12 kind of getting into the backline while the tanks were on the point. It seemed like Alex was kind of fighting a D.Va and the Orisa on the point while 12 was on that Pharah kind of putting pressure, but Supreme takes 12 out of the sky. No more Pharah to worry about before the res comes in. But because the res came in, there is no res for Duplicafly.
Yeah, and they can heal Duplicafly as well when they're resing just the Harmony Orb, which was on 12 for the time being. So Alex kinda is now looking to take the ground onto the point, get the real estate that his team needs to move in here. And you see Jakaluka pushes in deep. He's got the bomb. He knows he can afford to play a little bit aggressive, but Alex gonna bats him down. But as a result, he's gonna be traded. Now, this lets the rest of the team, especially with that Reinhardt down, to continue pushing forward. 12 can go really uncontested in the skies here, and they're able to even res Joka back into the fight. So no harm, no foul really for the team. As you see, the Pharah is engaged in a bit of a duel on the outside, but nothing really coming too much out of that. Both barrages available though.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's going to be the key here for this next fight, who could land those barrages. But Pyro does have that Dragon. Supreme's going to, lands one more body shot. He's going to get that as well. But still, these two teams are going head-to-head, and I feel like Not a Phase didn't hop on the opportunity they had. I feel like only Alex was the only one to dive in. But Ross popped that barrage only to find 12, so no more barrage coming out from 12.
Yeah, I think that was the reason why he wanted to do that in the first place. But Basso is able to get the res off onto 12. This is behind enemy lines there. The combat medic flying in and getting the res, and Basso drops into the well. This is actually really smart positioning from Basso here to stay alive. But no matter how good your positioning as the Mercy is, no matter if you die or you don't, you can't heal that much damage on all of this. There's just concentrated fire coming out on the side of the Not a Phase, and they're going to take this point. But regardless, OT was ticking down. It's 99% for Axios. They really only need one cap to win.
Yeah, then that's why, I wouldn't expect the Axios to really be holding on to the resources for the fight. Well, that's the game Not a Phase is going to be playing. So it's a very dangerous game ahead of them. They could be, getting out-dueled when as soon as the ults come out. 12 could be popping this barrage pretty soon.
Yeah, 12 is going to be looking for that. And you see Jakaluka here's flying up to pressure Box of Rage, but he's able to escape for the most part. But here's a Graviton Surge. There's a barrage in the back by 12, but he's going to not find anything, whereas Ross is able to follow up on that. But Duplicafly uses the Fortify during the grab and now gets 2 picks, both tanks down. Bam, bomb in the back room just to flush out the supports. Lox is found. You see that Box of Rage is left alone in there, and here's the retake coming out from Axios now. OT. Supreme is left. They res Lox back into the fight. He's got the Transcendence here. Could be looking for the contest, but Box of Rage is now still alive. Was able to survive throughout that last fight, but Lox falls down into the pit, and they halt Alex down there as well, and now OT's on the point. They lose the value that they would have gotten from that Transcendence, and now the tanks are back on. Hanafuda's there. Alex gonna with a huge barrage on the side, or a huge Earth Shatter on the side, looking to knock them down, but it doesn't find up. They just get right back up again, and Hanafuda's back up, ready for more, but there's a Dragon Strike as well on the point, but it's not gonna be enough because Supreme is there. The Dragons in spirit get to the point before he can, and they are going to be able to take this point. Axios Esports take this 1-0 so far on not on Ilios, on Oasis, mind you.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the second map. This is this is the map where a lot of Pharahs come out, and also McCrees are a little more often in here as well. But these maps are insane. Seeing these two teams go head to head. The only thing I'd like to see more is Not a Phase kind of hopping on the opportunities, when they have them. In that initial fight, Duplicafly went down, and okay, that's a main tank out of the fight. They already used the res onto 12 on that Pharah, so that was your opportunity to kind of pounce on them. But only Alex was the only one to really engage. The rest of the team wasn't with him, so I'd like to see a little bit more coordination. But Supreme coming out on the Tracer here. Ooh, this might be a wild card.
Gotta be careful here though, because Pyronal You see he's on the McCree, and ever since the buff, you see McCree's gotten some more usage because he can do a lot more damage, and Supreme is trying to annoy him for the most part. But Pyronal's undeterred, looking for the shots onto Ross. Finds two, freezes Supreme in his tracks. Halt! In the name of the law, he says, and Pyronal finds the pick to open things up, but the tanks on the front lines are able to find Duplicafly. He's back in the fight, however, and Ross takes advantage of the res, finds the kill onto Wally here. Could be going on either side right now. It's fairly even, but you see now with the picks onto Pyronal and Hanafuda, respectively, the Zen just might be the bigger pick here as they find Jokeluka as well. This is really looking like Not a Phase is going to find this, and with air shots like those, Ross is going to be able to take this point. That was beautiful. Found 12 and then found Duplicafly once he jumped in the air. Is he playing Overwatch or is he playing Quake? Who even knows?
Yeah, well, you know, we haven't really talked about Ross too much throughout this match because he's finally, you know, waking up, and I feel like Fair is more of a comfort pick for him, but 12 is going to get him out of the sky. Goodness gracious, what a shot.
Yeah, these Pharahs are just trading back and forth. It's pretty insane, the high-level dogfights that we're seeing here, but 12 is pressured by the Diva. Hanafuda finds the pick, gets the bomb off to try and get back in the mech as soon as he possibly can, but Lox here with the Transcendence supporting the team. Here's a bomb coming out from Jokeluka, not going to find anything. Actually, Lox, as I say that, is an unfortunate victim of that, and they're able to retake here for the Exeus Esports, but regardless, Ross is on the point. Never mind, he's no longer on the point. Pyronal's there to shut him down, and he's got the High Noon for the next fight to definitely shut them down when they try to come back in.
Little unfortunate that in a losing fight, Not a Phase did use all the ultimates. You know, there's definitely something you don't like to see. And, you know, I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. They were definitely trying to win that fight. It was going back and forth. But it's just that now the resources are definitely against them. You know, the longevity favors Exeus. Exeus can hold this point a lot longer. They have 5 ultimates coming into this fight. Well, they just got, Boxer Rage just got the Valkyrie. So really, there isn't much more you could do here against this team. Really, you just have to build up these ultimates in these next fights.
Yeah, Pyronal now is pressured by the team. The dive came onto him, and he is going to be found in the side room, but Supreme, as a result, is going to be the cost of his life. But now the Divas are fighting on the high ground here. Hanafuda and Jokeluka, you know, but who has the high ground? It's Ross here with the Farah Barrage to find Jokeluka. Basso is now not long for this world as well, and they're looking to cap this point here for the Not a Phase. It's neck and neck here on Oasis Gardens here. It's looking very, very close.
Oh, goodness. I take everything I said back. Not a Phase. Finding those key picks, find 12 and Pyro first, which was, you know, that's such a great idea because they didn't take out those DPS ults, and then you kind of baited the ults from Duplicafly and Basso, so they lose 2 ults while all you're doing is gaining the point and gaining your ultimate build-up. But beware. 12 and Pyro still have those ultimates, so it could be, you know, a table turner here as the pharmacy comps are gonna engage in the sky.
That's definitely what the results of the fights are going to be, but 12 is found right away. There's the bomb, finds Ross. Both Farahs down now for either side, but Wally finding the pick on Supreme might just be what they need. They force out the Transcendence from Lox, and they're able to sneak off the res on both sides. So the Farahs are back in action here. Ross wants to get up into the sky as soon as he can, but he's pressured on 2 fronts right now, from above and from the ground. But he's avoided the rockets and finds 12 there. Regardless, though, Pyronal is just too good on this McCree right now, finding all the value. Freezes Supreme once more in his tracks and finds the picks. Looks for Lox and finds the headshot as well. He's looking on fire right now. Again, he's living up to his name. The Pyro himself uses the High Noon. It is not 12 o'clock, though. Daylight savings is in effect, so he's only going to find Alex Cunna there. But they're able to retake here. 98% though for Not a Phase. And now Ross almost is able to stay alive for the most part by the Farm Mercy. Pyronal again is just so good on this McCree. My goodness, what a pick for him.
Yeah, you know, justice may reign from above, but McCree, a former outlaw, kind of digging into his roots and taking out that justice from the sky. And, you know, he's performing so well. Ross, he's just a thorn in Ross's side right now. Ross can't even get on the point without getting shot at.
Yeah, McCree, you know, vigilante. He takes justice into his own hands. Does not let Farah dictate that for him. But now Ross is pressured by Supreme here, who's been really good on this Tracer as well. Want to highlight him. Finds the pick onto Pyronal right away with that blink. And now looks for the kill onto 12. And Jokeluka now demeched. He's pressured. Trying to find Basso, who's 1 HP. Bots of Rage, establishing Mercy Dominus. 99% overtime on the point. Jokeluka's dodging back and forth between the shots, but is eventually found by the splash damage of the rockets, and this is going to be Not a Phase. Evening things out. Duplicafly tries to get there, but just not fast enough on the monkey here. So 1-1 right now on Ilio's neck and neck between these two teams.
Oh, this second map, this is game point for not a phase right now. They don't want to go home. They want to play a game three today. They don't want to wait all the way till their next match. They want to play right now. And this could be the start of the comeback. Every match is a must win from here on out. So
Completely.
it's going to be super, super essential every single game. So really, they're performing at the level they need to at this moment.
Remember, it's best of 3 here, so if Exvius Esports does win this one, they're gonna actually take home the prize here. And by prize, I mean they just take home some internet points here because we're not yet in the playoffs. But you want to be able to win this match if you're not a phase here. You got your back against the wall, but if there's one thing we know, you corner a snake. It's not what you want to have happen here, and not a phase. Looks like they're looking to retake this point, especially with the aggression they put out so far. You see they're setting up on the high ground here. Joker is going to knock him off in the first pick. Draw goes to 12, drawing first blood once more, and Pyronal back on this Widowmaker. I love this pick from him. You saw how much value he got on King's Row, and if he keeps getting picks like those, it's going to be the same result. You see, though, they are able to find Basso, and both supports down now for Exvius Esports. This could be what Not a Phase needs because they still have their own. Alex is so low here, and he's finally found by 12. You've got Hanafuda contesting the point, but it's just the Zero Suit Diva, and Pyronal gets all the picks that he needs to win this fight. But now, Jokeluka, you got to get back in the mech here. Don't want to be the Zero Suit.
Yeah, not for too long. You're definitely going to be kind of shooting around, hoping that ultimate builds up as quickly as possible. But, I thought the fight might have swung back in the favor of Not a Phase because the first 2 picks they found were the 2 supports. So every damage they did after that was final. But, they just couldn't bring out enough damage. All they really had was the tanks left, and that's not going to pump out enough DPS to take out everyone, especially if Pyro's going inside. They need to have someone to challenge him, and Ross is going to be the one that challenged Pyro.
Ross trying to deflect the Tesla gun there. Unfortunately, you cannot do that, so 12 is going to be able to find the pick from behind him. But now, Duplicafly finds Locks. There's a bomb on the point. It's not going to find a whole lot here, but it's looking like Not a Phase is looking to take this point, especially with those early picks. You see Supreme starting to frag out on the point. Finds 2. 12 does find Box of Rage, but Duplicafly is very pressured right now by the Tracer. Forced to use his Primal Rage, and 12 is shut down. As a result, though, the Diva does lose her mech. Hanafuda now does not have this, but here comes the Brigitte pick from Pyronal here, switching off of the Widowmaker, wants to pressure the Tracer better, and it might be just the key that they need here, because you see Supreme needs to play a little bit more conservative here. He's got to change his play style, and he's found by Wally. This could be what they need now. Again, I've said that many times, but it looks like they're finally starting to get some momentum here on the side of Exvius Esports to push them back. 12 is over on the Doomfist now, making the switch, looking for the contest, and Exvius Esports holds strong here, 75%, only a few more fights remaining.
Yeah, they tried to challenge Supreme's Tracer. I might have my view on Supreme for a little bit, and he was absolutely going crazy. But 12 switching out to this Doomfist trying to take over the map, establishing the dominance. The Diva Bomb is going to find Ross in the back, high in the sky, flying too high. Clip your wings just like Icarus.
Yeah, but here Supreme is flanking. He had the Orb of Discord on him, but he's looking for the frag onto Wally here, trying to force out the Transcendence, but the Pyronal is there to support him, and he's got the Pulse Bomb, throws it out. Pyronal, though, blocks it, parried with the Brigitte shield, and now Locks finally is forced to use his Transcendence, and Wally's forced to use his. Both Zenyatta's transcending reality itself to heal up their entire team. No picks coming out. Diva Bomb in the back. Doesn't find a whole lot there from Hanafuda. Now back in the mech, looking to pressure the supports, but when you're stunned like that, there's not a whole lot you can do, and Hanafuda doesn't really have a whole lot of support right now, especially with the Orb of Discord that you've got on him. Duplicafly, D-max him, and now the tickling tendrils of the Tesla gun find the kill, and this is Exvius Esports taking this 2-0 on Oasis here in what was a 2-1 in what was a neck-and-neck game for sure. Very well played from both of these teams, and who else is getting play of the game but Ross here?
Yeah, Ross absolutely going insane on this Pharah. Shut down the point pretty easy, and this was the one map that was a win today for them. Ooh, finding those beautiful sky shots. Goodness, what a play. But honestly, there's not much really improvement Not a Phase needs to do. They just need to have a little bit more coordination, and their comps need to move a little bit more in sync if they want to make it far in this tournament. And we're still in the early phases, but just a quick update for you guys, just a little bit of a reminder. Yesterday, Ronin Horde
Monday.
Ronin Horde and Loli. Oh, Monday, right? Sorry, Monday. Ronin Horde and Loli Esports were the winners. Now joining them in the one-win column is going to be Exeus Esports. They're going to join them, and at the bottom of the table we have Regenerate and Team Exile followed along with Not a Phage. No, sure early, so these standings don't really mean too much.
Hmm.
There's just 3 teams with a win and 3 teams without a win. So yeah, great match today. Honestly, well played.
Yeah, and that is gonna be it. XZC Sports does take the win in here. I've been notified there's some frame issues on the stream, so I'm gonna end this one out here real quick, and then we'll go live back again once I lower some of the settings here. But other than that, next map, Ronin Horde versus Lolly Esports. We'll see you then.